Hello and welcome. I am Bigfoot. This is episode 4 of my Let's Play series, and to start with, I just want to talk you through my thought process of where I am, where I'm going. Okay, so this is going to seem like a bit of a rant, not necessarily a rant, but it's going to veer off topic. Going to cover a lot of different things, but it's going to start off in a very simple premise, and that simple premise is that I need 4 more of these. There's 4 blocks here, 4 blocks of copper. I need another 4. Where am I going to put them? Now, my initial thought was to put them up here. I've already plumbed in the 4 belts here. They're the outputs. These are the 4 inputs, and here's my fuel. It's all here ready to go. I just need to put it there. But I think that was as a result of my standard way of thinking and designing these things. So because of the way I've been building the last few factories, my approach is just to build it in a linear fashion. So I just build one thing at a time, left to right, across the map, building all the things that I need. Everything operates in its own kind of horizontal slot. So these things have boundary lines where they can operate in, and if they extend upwards, then I'm not bothered by that. But then at those boundary lines, then the new process on the other side, and that's fixed. So the width is fixed, and then if something needs to be bigger, it will just go upwards. That's the standard approach that I've kind of tackled these things with before. I don't want to just jump straight into it. I don't want to just carry on the same path that I've taken before. I want to approach it differently. You know, I mean, this is a racetrack. As I said, I want it to be unusual. I want it to be lopsided. I don't want it to be a standard factory that I've built many times before. It's just a little bit smaller or bigger. I want to approach it in a different direction. So when I'm thinking about the grand scheme of these designs, I'm thinking about them in big blocks. So big chunks of factory. Where are those big chunks going to go? And those big chunks are, well, the first one is this one that I'm already building, the one that we're already setting out, the one that I did the diagram of. That is fixed. That follows a linear path. I'm almost fixed by that. That's what I've set out the bus. You know, to be honest, I don't think I'll change that. That process I like a lot. The way that it's set out, the way it's positioned. The geometry always seems to work out quite elegantly, or at least I can get it to work out in a way that I'm happy with. So that element is fixed. I've planned it out. That's not going to change. But the other blocks would be, so we have what you probably call like the shopping mall. I would call the jumble. All of the bits and pieces that I need to construct to finish the base, assembly machines, conveyor belts, inserters, and the like. That's one big block on its own. I would also have steam power as a block. It's only a temporary block, because once I get to nuclear power, it will be shut down. I'm not going to dismantle it. I'm just going to leave it there. But I will need it at some point, so that needs to be included. I need a block for iron, not for iron, for oil. So where is my oil production going to go? Where are those trains going to feed it? Then there's going to be a block for science. Not necessarily a big block, and it probably would go quite close to the jumble, the shopping mall, but not necessarily directly attached to it. Maybe somewhere else. Don't know. I mean, that's a flexible item. The last one would be uranium power. So where is that going to go? Where is my plan for that? And then possibly, I mean, if you want to include it, stone as well, because stone needs trains to input the stone. I mean, so coal, I'm going to get the coal from the steam. So the delivery system for the coal into the station will be positioned next to where the steam power is going to go, and then it will feed the rest of the factory from there. So that's where I'm going to position the coal. The stone needs to go obviously somewhere near to the shopping mall jumble thing, but it's not necessarily. It is a little bit more flexible. I've got some play with it. So those are the main bits that I'm thinking about. I mean, I know I'm at early stages. I barely even started the main factory, but this is the point where I'm starting to think about the positioning of those things. So, I mean, do I want to go? I suppose I could go for my plan. So the plan at the moment. So this block is going to be iron, copper, steel, computer chips. Going to operate this kind of space. They'll all come across a bus. It'll be the bottom side as well. So the bus will be down here, and the bottom half will be exactly the same. The bus will come along. Then we'll have the shopping mall slash jumble, and that will kind of go up the screen along the middle. We'll come down on that same line, and I think I'll put science there just below the jumble so that can feed either side, can feed the two together, they can be joined. Below that, the plan at the moment is to then put oil down at the bottom. If we carry along the center line across here, I think I'm going to put uranium here. And then if we come up the center line through the jumble's going to end. I think I'm going to have stone kind of over here, stone input, that is, from the railways, kind of one side or the other of the jumble. And then I'll have the center line coming up, and I'll have a big steam set up with the coal in the middle, and then steam turbines outside of that. That's kind of the current geometry that I'm thinking about, I think. Obviously, I don't know how this is going to interact. I don't know where things are going to go. I don't know anything at the moment. So the point of all of this is, where are these copper 4 extra blocks that I need? Where am I going to put them? That's the ultimate goal of this conversation. So if we can see here, what we have is we're going to have 2 stations either side of this kind of generic center line. This is going to be reflected over on this side, and the original intention was to just bring these are the 4 belts that are going to be fed by the trains, bring that up through and bring it over to the left. But what I'm thinking now is that I want to have this same kind of railway setup up here, so it can link in with the stone and the coal when it gets there, and then I can reflect that on the other side of this map and use the same kind of setup to bring in the oil. So I don't really, at this point in time, I don't really want to build anything up here, because I think this is all going to be some ginormous railway super junction. It's going to be completely unnecessarily large and accommodating. So that I want to leave that space, because I think these railway lines, this one's going to come across here, join up with my ring road railways that are over here. So I think this is just going to be some ginormous junction. So I think I don't think I'm going to be building these up here. I think I'm going to be building them on the other side now. I think I'm going to be bringing them over here, so that I can keep everything above the path, everything north of the path, clear for whatever I need to go up here. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to need some re-maneuvering, because obviously I've routed in these 4 belts up here. So these need to be demolished, and then I need to move the path over, so the whole railway line probably needs to move over a few. The inputs that I've got from here, that's not the end of the world. I think I can just switch that over. However, if I'm going to the hassle of moving all of this, it's not very finished, but it's there or thereabouts, it's in the right place. I'm going to the hassle of moving this over to the left a little bit, then I think I'm going to move it up a little bit, so that the railway is closer to these conveyor belts, and then at some point in the future I can maybe bring the the racetrack in the gap between here, this railway line, and the path. So I think I'm going to go up, this is the start straight up here. So we're going to come up, we're going to do some jazz, don't know what it's going to do, and then at some point it's going to come back, it's going to loop all the way around, it's going to come through here, go down, and then it will start interfering with my southern part of the base, and I can worry about that when I get to the southern sector. So in a really, really roundabout way, that's kind of where I've ended up. Brass tacks is I need more space, I need more border, I need a lot more border, I need to requisition some more land. So that's next on the agenda. It's hard decision time. I'm finally biting the bullet. Um, I need more factory. I need a bigger factory. So that sounds flippant. The, my problem is I've got too much space. This gap here is too big. I can't fit it elegantly. It's going to look ugly. So if I increase capacity, the only inputs extra I need to worry about trains is an extra train line on either side. So that just pushes things over to the right a little bit more. And then that gives me more factories, more furnaces that I need to build. And I can thus fill the space a little bit better. Obviously means all this planning for the bus is a little bit out. I've planned out my new bus. I need a bit more space, but that actually isn't the critical thing. The critical thing is the location of this path. So this path only just missed the belts for the barrels. So if I'm going to move this path up, say 2 squares, it's going to completely mess this up. So I need to move this path up so it misses these belts. That's now the critical point. Build the path there. Everything's going to shift up to meet it. Plenty of space in the bus. Still haven't allowed for coal in my bus. That's the second time I've made that mistake. So yeah, a whole reworking of everything so far. So hopefully I'm gonna demolish everything, rebuild everything, and hopefully by the time I come back, I'll have something that's designed, finished, done, and I can move on, because that's really all I care about at this moment. I just want to get a design I'm happy with so I can move on, because I'm still all this thinking. It's hard work, and just at some point you've got to just commit. You can't. There's only so many times you can think about the same thing, going round and round in circles. The thing that finally did it for me was working out those assembly machines for the green chips. I decided if that worked out elegantly, I was going to keep it and I was going to crack on, but it didn't. It worked out badly, so that was the final straw. Onward and upward anyway. So just a quick bit about the philosophy of my trains. So I want all of the storage carts on all of the trains to feed all of the inputs. What I don't want to happen is for it to clump. I don't want one of these belts to fill up, stop the trains from emptying entirely, and therefore it doesn't fill up the rest of the belts because this train is stuck. I want, say, take this storage cart for example. I want this storage cart to fill up, or at least, you know, for that flow to flow through all of these 12 belts. Now in order to achieve that, I need to bring this flow over to this side. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm joining these two, I'm going to go through this in a second. Joining these two together with a splitter. So half of it goes to this belt, and then half of it goes all the way down over here onto the other side, to the belt that's directly opposite it. And then the outputs of this one do the same. So this one joins up with this splitter, and then this one joins up with this splitter. This way, all of these carts are then on both sides. And then, I mean, at some point, I'm also going to fill these up with splitters just to mix things up a bit. I do know that people get particularly anal about these mixers, but for my purposes, as long as the ore is able to get from here to all of these 6, I don't really care about what proportion, as long as it can get there. Because then if one of these block up, say this one blocks up on the end, then it will move, it will concentrate that flow on all these other 5. So it kind of is a self-correcting, self-adjusting system. I'm not too fussed about these. I don't get too particularly anal about it. In the same way, I know this looks fairly regular, but if you actually look, these two chests are feeding this bottom belt. Same with these two chests. And then these two chests are feeding the top belt. Same as these two chests, and it alternates. So this one is the top one, this mixes on the bottom one, and this is on the top. And it's perfectly symmetrical. So this is only actually, so these are, say, a half of a input belt. These are two because it's right next to each other. This one feeds the bottom belt, and this half feeds the top. These two together feed the bottom. It's perfectly balanced so that both of these belts get loaded equally. Both of these belts then get shifted to this side of the bus and to this side of the bus, and then they all get evened out. So the theory is, as I said, to make sure that every storage cart has the possibility of loading every single one of these belts. That's the goal. And also I always try and make the numbers work out elegantly. I mean, this is another good reason why this 50% increase was nice. So I've got 12 belts out here, 6 on each side. I've also got six lanes on each side. So I can mix each one of these belts needs to come from one of these lines. So each one, so I'm stepping back. So this one is created from the top row. This second line is created from this second row. The third one will be created from the third row, etc., etc. Just in terms of equally balancing everything, it's a good system. I like it. It does, and I knew normally I bring it out the bottom as well, because you can do the similar sort of thing. So I could do. Hold on. I could equally do something like that. That would work just as well, if I wanted to bring it downwards and keep things even. I've even been known, because technically there's 4 inputs and that would only be 2, to do this. There's a lot of flexibility in this system to adjust things, to play around with the numbers. I mean, when I get to iron, I'm going to have even more. So I'm going to have, oh, that's an awkward number. I'm going to have 9. 9? Oh, that's going to be, iron is going to be awkward. But I think I'm going to have nine of these, which is an odd number, but that's what needs to happen. So because I've got, well, essentially 12, if you include each of these splitters as one on its own, I've got 12, so I just need to do 3/4 or something. A problem for another day, another moment. But that's that. I just wanted to give you a little idea while I'm building this thing. This is probably a good stage to get an idea of what's going on, because it's still not fully built and it's still relatively understandable. When I fill it all up, it can be a little bit daunting trying to get to the bottom of what I'm trying to achieve, just because it's so damn full. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit on that. So now I'm just going to finish it off. Well, through the power of editing, what has taken place over the last few hours is actually, you've seen in a few seconds, hopefully. Well, brief train station interlude aside. Yeah. A lot has taken place. I finally got it to a point where I'm happy with it. So that's the good news. Well, all sorts of good news, actually, to be honest. No more moving stuff around, no more. I'm now fixed. If I've cocked up somewhere, then I'm stuck with it. I'm keeping it. Whatever. I've had to reinforce my walls, my perimeter walls, and that's mainly because, well, a few things actually. Firstly, is because I'm obviously removing a whole load of conveyor belts from the starter base, so it needs to replace them, and it's using It's creating noise and pollution that attracts the biters. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I've also, over here, I've got like all this water, which is actually quite a fortuitous defensive position if my planned base wasn't going to be so blimmin' large. So, because I know that at some point I'm going to have to fill, oh man, this is really, really big. I'm going to have to fill all of this in. It's massive. I haven't been out to this little peninsula before, and I'm just seeing loads of water on the map. Okay, so because I know I need to fill all of this in at some point, I've requisitioned a stone mine down here that just makes landfill. And I've had to reinforce the border. I've reinforced the border before I built the stone mine, if I'm being honest, in preparation, but I've had to add more to it over time because they keep attacking, particularly the corner itself. They love going for the corner, the turret that's right on the corner. They love going for it. But as a result of all of that noise, I've had to reinforce and power and provide ammunition to all of my walls now. Just more time. It's just really annoying to be interrupted when you're building something for the second or third time. It's really annoying to be interrupted by these damn things. It just interrupts the flow of stuff. It's just easier to spend a little bit of time putting up a wall, powering it, putting ammunition on it. Anyway, so what else I've worked on is I've tried to finalise my kind of roundabout system in the bus zone for my railways. I am kind of happy with it. I'm kind of to and froing on it. What I do know is that even if I find that I don't like it at some point in the future, there's a lot of scope to play around with it. There's a big part of me that wants to move these two lines back to the middle, but then there's another part of me that wants to use this middle as another path because it will intersect really nicely with the main path that links the pit garage and everything else. So it can serve either purpose at the moment. I'm on the fence about what it's going to do in the final version. Started filling in the bus. Yeah, just general progress. I mean, I think what I like to get it to the point at this kind of point is where I've filled in 90-95% of the area that's here with stuff that's needed. There's still a few more bits, but I can't be bothered, and I need some roboports to really finish it off. So once I've got it about 90-95%, then I'm happy and I can move the time lapse. That's really what it's about. I want to get as much work done on this zone as possible, whatever is in the field of shot, before I move it onto somewhere else, because the likelihood of me coming back and filming anything else is low. Anything else that I need to develop on these things won't be part of the time lapse probably. Whilst we're on the subject, let's have a quick look at where we are. Here we are. Suppose there's not really much to say here. All of the oils worked out quite nicely. That's all in my racetrack now, so I can probably, what I'm going to do is when I get to the point where I need it, I'll dismantle this side of the copper and make it into a temporary oil station so that the trains for the oil will come here, pick up the oil and then go back to wherever it needs to get processed. So this will be a temporary setup at some point in the future. Other than that, pretty happy. What I ended up with, I increased the SPM by 50%, so we've gone from 234, I think it was before, to 350, which, is a nice round number. And that means I need 12 blocks. And what I've done is I've put 5 on this side, 7 on this side, and then use the gap that's left behind that's going to be my control panel lobby area for one of the tracks. I might also extend it downwards into the bus area. I seem to have a lot more space down here than I was anticipating, so we'll see how things go on that front. Haven't decided. There's still a long way to go before I get to decisions like that. But for the time being, that's probably a good place to stop. A lot of progress has taken place. A lot of time and effort. But it is time to move on to computer chips. That's next, and potentially a whole load of landfill. So, till next time.